All right. Well, welcome everybody. Today I have Sharon Redmond from iCoach here, checking in from Dublin, Ireland, and she'll be sharing us her journey in coaching, in leadership development, and how she built a successful coaching business in just 3 years. Welcome, Sharon. Uh, Say hi to our viewers, please.
Hi, Mike. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate the opportunity. Nothing I love more than talking about coaching and leadership.
That's wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Sharon. I really appreciate you being here. So, Sharon, what motivated you to start helping others develop their leadership skills?
So I burnt out of a very high pressurized corporate career in 2018. I was always driven, motivated, high achiever, people pleaser, perfectionist, completely unaware, disconnected from myself. And I thought the way to be successful was to work harder. After I burnt out, I took a year out to reflect and I did a lot of research around what worked best for me, my personality, what I was naturally good at. And one of my very good friends, who's a career coach, recommended that I go along to a open evening for our college that was EMCC-accredited coach training program. And as soon as I went to that, I was hooked. I came out and literally went, how is this a job? And how do I do this? Because it really enabled me to lean into all my natural skills in developing people, because I had worked in recruitment. I had built and managed teams, high performing teams, and I had a very good ability to look at the big picture and the overview. So that's what drove me personally when I basically burnt out so badly that I couldn't get out of bed. And I thought, this is crazy. There is a way to be successful and there is a way to support people and do good and navigate and build teams without necessarily falling apart. So that's what brought me to coaching. And once I started it, I was totally addicted.
Thank you for sharing that and for your transparency. I mean, it must have been an extremely difficult time for you going through that. And it's great that you found the EMCC. I actually been to their global conference a few weeks ago in Prague, and that was absolutely fantastic. I met such wonderful people. It's a really great organization. Did you get certified under EMCC?
Yes. Yeah, I'm EMCC certified. Yeah, I did that straight away. Because my friend who was in coaching, she had recommended, because it gives you a framework and it establishes trust, especially for somebody going in. For me personally, this is my personal experience, going into an industry where I was relatively new and bringing my experience. It gives people the trust factor, and it also gives coaches a framework of how they coach effectively and how they create impact and how they become really self-aware and they reflect on how they're showing up and what they're bringing to their coaching sessions. So for me, it was important that I was accredited.
So out of all the different coaching certification providers, because there are many, why did you choose EMCC specifically?
Well, I chose Kingstown College, who I trained with, and they were affiliated with ICF and EMCC. I think for me, it was when I went into the room with people who were EMCC accredited, and the framework and the structure and the professionalism and the guidelines and how they hold each other accountable, how you're held accountable and how you're taught to reflect. I think that's why it was so important for me. And that was just my experience, how I was introduced in. And I loved the way the coaching was structured. It was very interactive. There was lots of peer-to-peer coaching. So lots of opportunity to, I would say, build the plane while you were in the air. And that's what appealed to me. And also, training and being experiential, and then also having the framework was important for me.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And did you consider any other certification providers? Did you look at all the other different frameworks?
Yeah, well, I mean, the course that I went through is ICF accredited as well. It was just that for me, starting out, it was EMCC. That was just the room I went into. And I know there's many other programs and I know there's other accreditations. So this is just my personal experience, what was in front of me and what spoke to me at the time. I have also gone through transformational leadership coaching. I've done mindset coaching with Proctor Gallagher. So I've been in lots of other rooms and lots of other programs to make sure that I was bringing the best of myself. And so that when a client is in front of me, that it's easy for me to access what is required for them. Because as coaches, we understand the more we invest in ourselves and the more that we learn and get curious, the more powerful it is in the coaching sessions. So For me, it's not, this is a straight path. You know, it's the very squiggly path. And it's always about self-reflecting what you're bringing to the table and how you're showing up.
That's so genuine and authentic, just the way you said that. It's great that you actually care about the results and you care about the people on the other end. So it really shines through that you genuinely want to help people to go through that transformation and to prevent maybe burning out and having those experiences that you yourself had to go through.
Yeah, because it was a coach, it was a leadership coach actually. And I wasn't aware of the terminology around it at the time. It was a leadership coach that powerfully stood for me and my transformation and was invested in calling me forward and holding me high and me having a breakthrough. So I had that experience. So I understand how powerful that is. And I think a lot of people, we're busy in our daily lives and we often don't have the opportunity for somebody to really listen to us and reflect back to us what's going on and also help us to navigate what's going on. So it comes from my personal experience. And for me, I wanted to be the coach that I wish I could have found at the time, because it took me quite a journey. It took me a really long, winding road that is, yes, brought me on my journey, but is unnecessary, you know. So I like to say to people, you know, I'm going to shorten the pain and help them achieve the success without necessarily the suffering. You know, you don't have to suffer. And I suffered, and a lot of it was self-inflicted. And a lot of it, I would have considered that I have high emotional intelligence and I was self-aware. But compared to where I am now, I'm like, I wasn't even at the gate, never mind up the path, you know.
And what also strikes me that you not only have that self-awareness, but you also have a very clear understanding of the benefits your service delivers, because this is something many coaches struggle with, that they can't define the outcomes or the benefits of coaching. It's often very wishy-washy when you hear coaches talk, and you just can't pinpoint what am I actually getting.
Yeah.
But as you speak of it, you have absolute clarity, and you really pinpoint very sensitive areas.
I've learned to ask people, and that's part of the framework. That's part of the EMCC framework, you know, pausing and reflecting and asking people, is this landing? Does this make sense? Are you seeing the value? And I had this conversation with another coach actually, because, you know, sometimes the value that we perceive that we are bringing is not what the client is receiving. So it's important to ask your clients and to be courageous and not take it personally. And this is one of the most powerful things in coaching sessions. You asking the person, does this make sense? Is this landing? And reflecting back what you're hearing them say. So I think as you become more comfortable in the coaching space and you gain more experience, you see it in your clients, you see their transformation, you see their results, and you learn that it's not about you at all. And when you start to see that and how powerfully that impacts their lives and their relationships and how they are in the world, then you can really clearly see the value.
That's fantastic. It's really inspiring. I love this conversation.
Thank you.
So how did you get started? Like, you know, when you went through this certification program with EMCC and at Kingston College, I heard you say, what did you do after? You got your certification, and then what happened?
It was very messy, Mike. It was very, very messy. And, you know, I always say to new coaches, I'm still in the Kingston community, and I say to new coaches, look, reach out. One of the things I found most challenging was what was the value that I was bringing, and learning my pricing and learning my structure and learning how to market myself and learning how to have the money conversations. And I think that's where a lot of coaches struggle. And I was fortunate that I went into another community of very supportive coaches, and I'm in the Kingston community, and people shared, this is how you begin your pricing. This is how you start charging. This is the framework. This is how you contract. So I would say it was totally messy. It was really, really genuinely totally messy. And I have learned by leaning in. And I think if I could say anything to new coaches, I would say it's not about you. Don't make it about you, and stop thinking about you, because that gets in the way of the money conversation. And that makes us all, you know, in our heads and uncomfortable and not wanting to appear salesy, you know, and it's not salesy wanting to support somebody and help somebody and know that you can. So you get to be courageous and go, I know how to help you. And transformation begins with the transaction. So until people put their money where their mouth is and make a commitment, there is no transformation. But as soon as people do that, it's so powerful. So I would say show up messy. It sounds cliche. Show up messy and take feedback and ask people that you're coaching what has landed, what is powerful, what's the value that you perceived, and get feedback from people and go from there. I was also in a hurry, Mike, being a perfectionist and being very driven. I was in a hurry and I frequently got frustrated. And I've learned to just relax and trust myself.
Well, thank you for that advice. It's really valuable. So how long did it take you to get momentum to figure it out?
I'm still doing it, Mike. I'm not, as coaches, you don't get to the end. I think coaches naturally are very curious. So once I established my own framework on my business, I'm constantly pivoting and looking where I can create value. So at the moment, I'm doing a lot of work with teams. So I'm learning, and I'm learning about energy, and I'm learning I won't ever be done. And that's why it's important to breathe and be in the journey and be where you are and not beat yourself up thinking that you need to be somewhere else.
100% agree. I think this is one of the things that you really need to enjoy the process as well. Like you can't look at, oh, when I get there, or just to be hyper focused on some outcome or an end goal. You have to embrace the journey, and you have to take pleasure in the journey as well, or find yourself in that.
Totally. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say don't be attached to the outcome, and let go of the outcome. And when I'm having conversations with clients, and I always preface it with, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. Don't be attached to the outcome, and don't wait until the ending, till you get where you think you're going, to enjoy the process. Learn to enjoy the process with all the bumps in the road, because otherwise you're going to torture yourself. Take it from one who knows.
That's right. That's right. So I have a background in sports, and if you just compare it to something simple like going to the gym, if your goal is like to get strong and to look good, but you hate every session in the gym, it's not going to be sustainable. Like eventually you're going to give up, right? So you have to just enjoy going to the gym, and those outcomes from being consistent will come. So what was the single biggest contributor to your success? Because obviously you somehow cracked the code, and you've been running your business sustainably for the last 3 years. What was the single biggest contributor to running a successful coaching business for you?
Getting out of my own way and asking for help. Really asking for help when I needed it, and saying, I don't know how to do this. Do you know how to do this? I'm reaching out to people, I think has been, and I say to people, look, if you reach out and you don't get help from that person, ask somebody else. You're just asking the wrong person. It doesn't mean help isn't there, just asking the wrong person. So I think for me, that's been the most powerful thing, to go, I don't know how to do this. Can you support me in this? And I had this experience last week. I did something I'd never done before. And I was like, look, I have never done this in this context before. And it's scary and it's stretchy. But as coaches, if you're not willing to go past your own comfort zone, you're never going to go there with a client. So I would say reach out for support, have the conversations, be honest about the challenges, and support other people, because you'll always learn in supporting somebody else. So if you know you're really comfortable and something is your superpower, support somebody else in that. So for me, community and asking for help are essential in this business, and in any business, I think, Mike.
Absolutely. As a solopreneur or an individual, you can only do so much, and no single person has achieved great things just by themselves. There is always somebody else involved. When you see great achievements, whether it is sports, like an individual type of sport or whatever, there is always a team of people supporting that individual achieving those goals.
If anybody watched Wimbledon this year and saw Carlos, that gentleman, he had a team. He put in the work, but he had a team of people believing in him. And that was a powerful example of putting the right people around you who believe in you to get you across the line. Nobody would have considered him a favorite to win. So there has to be something in the people that you have surrounding you that keep you going and get you across the line. As you're saying, Mike, that you're not going to get there by yourself. So understanding that and being humble and acknowledging and knowing, you don't want to be the brightest person in the room. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because then you're not learning anything.
Super advice. I don't have anything to add to that. I'm just so resonate with this message so much, because I know this from my own personal experience as well, that this is how it works. So it's absolutely necessary. Plus, it's a very lonely world out there if you don't let other people in on the action. If you're trying to do it all by yourself just to save a bit of money here and there to cut
Yeah.
corners, it's going to be very isolated and tedious hours. And ultimately, I don't know if that could make anybody happy doing that on the long
Plus,
run.
sharing the challenges. I think it's important to share that sometimes it's hard and sometimes there's a learning curve, and it's not every day is all fun. That the fun part is the coaching, the relationships and all that, but not all of it is fun. And being honest about that, because it helps other people understand that it's not every day is a good day, but perhaps you're going to learn something. So I think it's important not to pretend that it's easy, that it's not challenging, that you're not going to be stretched and challenged. It's important to say some days are hard, and this is, I have to reach out, I have to ask somebody for help. I don't know how to do everything, and I'm constantly learning and pivoting in my business, because then other people go, oh, it's not just me. It's not just me that finds it hard. It's normal that it's hard.
So to reducing the tough days for newly certified coaches. Many coaches go into this profession thinking that now they don't have to work a corporate job and they're going to have personal freedom, maybe even financial freedom. What would you have to say about that?
You better enjoy the process. So in leadership, you say, what's the price you're willing to pay? What is the price? Everything we do has a price. We pay for everything. I work probably longer hours. I mean, I don't work long, hard days, but I work longer hours, but it expends less energy from me because it's something I really enjoy doing. But if you have an expectation that it's going to be easy and that you're going to make huge amounts of money and you're going to work 2 hours a day and be on Instagram, that is not what this is about. I've never met somebody who's not a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, who hasn't said, like, at least once a week, I'm just going to go and get a job. And then they go, no, thank you, actually. So what is the price you're willing to pay? If it's financial security and a paycheck, no matter how you're showing up, this is not the gig. But if you really want to, have that moment with your client where you go, this is why I do it. And this is the price I'm willing to pay. So yes, you have freedom. You also have instability, insecurity. Definitely enjoy the journey. Definitely learn to enjoy the journey.
That is great advice, I think. And there are so many fake gurus out there pitching that, they start a coaching business and you're going to make 7 figures. Just take my 10K course and you will have all the tools and everything you need. Yeah. So who is the worst guru in your opinion? Who should new coaches stay away from?
Well, I can't speak to that. I cannot speak to that because I've been fortunate. I would say to coaches, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. I think the biggest mistake, me looking back, I was naive and thinking, I have my qualification, I have my accreditation. Now I'm just going to sit and wait for people to come and I have my business. And that's not how it works. So I always have a coach and I'm always investing. So that's what I would say to people. And how I've learned is I ask people, I see you're working with this person. Are they in integrity? How do they show up? What's it like on the inside the container? So I've been fortunate that from the first community that I went into, I've been able to ask people. It's about my network. I would always say, what does this look like? Is this worth the investment? And I had this conversation with somebody yesterday who's not in coaching, but is reluctant to invest in a program that will accelerate his business. And I'm like, if somebody said to you, you will have a return on investment if you give me $7,000 or $5,000, here's the outcome, and you have proof of that, then why wouldn't you do that? So don't be attached to, this is a big investment. You got to continuously invest in yourself. You got to be continuously curious and not be attached to what this looks like and go, it wasn't what I thought, and I'm okay with that.
That's actually great advice. I was talking to a guy pitching me services the other day. We were in the middle of the conversation and he kind of picked up on me being skeptical about the services he was offering because I'm quite savvy, or I like to think I am. So he said, do you know what, why don't you get in touch with one of my former clients? Here is his details. Just give him a call, tell him you got his details from me and just have a chat and see what he thought. And I was, he's willing to go out there, to put me in touch with one of his former clients. I genuinely believe that guy is not in on the action. It's not like an affiliate or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, okay, then there is something there. Then this guy is legitimate. So it's good, to ask for this. Don't be afraid to ask for this proofing and speak to former clients.
Yeah.
And just get actual references about
Yeah.
the people that you be working with, so that you know that you're getting your money's worth.
And again, Mike, it's to the point that we have a perceived value. Like I can say to a potential client, you know, this is what you will get. A previous client is going to deliver it in a different way. And it's interesting. I always do that as well. If, you know, if people are on the fence, I'm like, listen, speak to this person. This is where they were. They worked with me. This is what they have said. Go speak to them and see if I'm a right fit. Because another thing about coaching is I'm not for everybody and everybody's not for me. I really want to work with people who were where I was by the time I'd gotten over my burnout and I was like, somebody throw me a rope. Where is the rope until I grab it? So I'm there. If somebody's like, where's the rope? I want the rope. I'm throwing it. So I want people who are committed, who want the results, who are willing to do the work, who are willing to take themselves on and willing to self-reflect and sit in their own discomfort. It's not everybody that's going to get on a call with me who goes, I want to work with Sharon. And that's okay. I'm not attached to that.
That's great. It's good to have that freedom and to be able to choose the people that are fully aligned with you and where you're a good match.
If you don't, you see, here's the kicker. If you're attached to the money and you chase the money because you need it, you won't work with the right people. They won't get the results. You won't build your business energetically. So I think it speaks to that as well. It's not that I have so much money, Mike, that I'm like, you know, I'm not attached. Of course, I got bills to pay like everybody else. But I have learned that, you know, enrolling somebody in something that's not for their own transformation or it's not going to work for them is not going to achieve results. So as a coach wanting to be in integrity, that's not who I work with or want to work with, because I'm not about dragging people into their transformation. I'm there for the people who are like, you figured this out. You went through this. Can you guide me through it shorter? Can you circumnavigate the pain? And I'm about that.
Yeah, I think coaching is a lot of the time, it's kind of like the shortcut. It's finding the shortest way to get to somewhere in life. I really feel that's the value of it. And I've spoken to hundreds of coaches, really. Podcast, we only just started not long ago. So we don't have so many recorded, but I'm involved in the community. I go to these conferences. I have my own certification. That's it. Coaching just gives you the shortcut to get from A to B. And it's where you want to go and who's the best person to support you along that journey.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
So Sharon, like what about new coaches who are just starting out and maybe they just gotten their certification, they haven't had clients yet, they don't have any testimonials, they don't have any social proofing, let's say. Yeah. What would you advise them how to get started?
Go coach somebody and ask them for their feedback. Coach people. You know, if you've done an accredited coaching qualification, you will have done peer-to-peer coaching. So you will take feedback from that. I would tend to say once you've done your peer-to-peer, don't coach for free. You know, very early in my career, I coached a friend for €10 because we kept having these conversations. And I was like, I keep hearing you say the same thing and I know I can support you. So you're going to show up every week and you're going to give me €10 and I'm going to coach you. Because I had fun with that, but I also understood, and it sounds maybe silly, but I understood the value in her, you know, handing me €10 and showing up every week. So it's not particularly about the amount. And then I took feedback from everybody and I asked everybody for testimonials. And trust me, when you create an impact in somebody else's life, they're more than happy to share those results with other people. So that's what I would say. Coach, 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 coach. All day, every day. And don't worry if you don't get all the positive feedback. Take that and go, that worked, that didn't work. Because that gives you confidence as a coach. Because early days before I would show up on a coaching call, I would feel like somebody had erased any memory of ever coaching from my mind. So I would always have to ground myself. And the more that I was grounded and leaned in and trust myself and coached the person and then took the feedback, that gave me the confidence to move forward. Anything in life, if you joined a yoga class, if you joined a fitness studio, if you started dancing, if you started doing anything, the first few times is clunky and uncomfortable. You get to just take the feedback and go, next time, this is what I'm going to do better. But that's the best advice that I can give, is to really coach, and take the feedback. And don't be afraid to go, self-reflect and go, that didn't go so great. next time this is what I would do differently.
So when you say don't coach for free, how do you suggest them finding their first paying clients?
For me personally, I asked for recommendations from other people. I networked, as you and I both in BNI. I think a large part of finding your clients, big shout out for BNI, is establishing relationships. Yeah. So join a BNI chapter and let people get to know you. Yeah, let people get to know you and have conversations, not from a sales perspective. So don't go, oh, I'm a coach and I charge, this is what I charge, but have conversations with people or get curious about what's going on with people. And it's not easy. It is not easy. You're not going to be inundated in the beginning, but once you move forward, once you're in forward motion and you're taking the feedback, you will get clients. And listen, there is a world in which you invest in marketing. I'm invested in a program at the moment, which is about, moving a lot of my business online digitally, because I've understood that there is a world in which I repeat a lot of things and people can get access. So I would say, invest in what you're not good at, you're not comfortable in. There are programs out there for coaches figuring out their niche. I spent a ridiculous amount of time not investing in that, trying to figure out my niche. So that doesn't need to be painful at all. There are people out there who can support you in nailing your niche and teaching you how to brand yourself and how to market yourself.
That's really great advice. And this is what I support coaches with as well, to help to identify who's actually interested and willing to pay for their services and who can they support the most, like with all honesty, going through a bit of self-reflection to identify who are they most aligned with and who can they actually help. Because trying to help everybody is a strategy to kill your business.
If you can find somebody that you trust and you're aligned with to support you in nailing your first niche, and look, it doesn't have to be perfect. You might find that you refine the process as you go, but just pick something and start, because we a lot of us fall into that trap of, well, I can help everybody and coaching is so powerful, and as you say, you dilute your energy and you won't get started and you won't earn a living that way. Whereas you nail your niche, you attract those people, and then you energetically move forward. And sometimes you see people are getting different results, or other people are attracted to you. So again, don't be attached. So start with Mike and his program then.
Thank you. No, that's very kind. But look, Alvin, you mentioned marketing strategies and all of that. So I'm sure you speak to many other coaches also, just like I do. Can you share with those who are a little bit further ahead on the journey what is actually working in marketing and what is not?
Okay, so depending on the niche, so I work a lot in the corporate space. So a lot of my business is by referral, or people who know me, who've had experience or heard me speak on podcasts or give talks or training. From what I understand from my coaching community, what lands as being authentic. So not selling, not saying, oh, here's my coaching program, blah, blah, blah. Sharing the results, sharing the journey, sharing the challenges, and showing up authentically. Because if people feel like you're too perfect, then they're also a bit intimidated and feeling like it's something that's outside of their reach. So I think be yourself, be authentic, speak honestly and openly, and be in integrity, and be clear about who you serve and who you don't serve. Like I said, Mike, I don't work with everybody. I won't be for everybody. Not everybody's for me. In terms of social media and that, I am appallingly bad at that. So I'm not the person to ask what gets the best results. I full disclosure there, Mike. So I don't know.
All right. So what you're saying is that referrals and authenticity and sharing results is what's getting traction, and this is actually what works in marketing and promoting your services to gain new clients.
I think for me in BNI, one of the things I do is, when you generously serve people, when you see somebody. So in my BNI chapter, when I see somebody, they want to ask for a pay rise, or they want to navigate a new career, or they're trying to figure out what their goals are, I'm like, let's jump on a call. I know I can support you in this, because coaching is experiential. So once people experience it, they walk away and go, oh my goodness, now I get it. And a number of my clients, even though in the beginning, they're enrolled in working with me and they're getting the results afterwards, they will say to me, now I really get it. So because coaching is so experiential, sometimes the person needs to be coached. I hope that makes sense. So for me, I would do referrals. I would take every opportunity to speak, like be on podcasts, be in the room. I did a lot of freebies in the, people ask me, will you, one of my friends was a coach. She worked with mompreneurs and she was like, can you come in and speak to the leadership? So I would talk about how we show up, the energy we're bringing, how, the growth mindset, not the victim mindset, how we pivot, how we support ourselves, how we create success. So when I was invited by other coaches to go into their coaching programs to speak about burnout, imposter syndrome, I said yes every single time. I said yes so that I could get the experience and so that I was in front of an audience.
It's wonderful. So if people are interested at working with you, where can they find you, Sharon?
They can find me on Instagram. It's at iCoachOfficial. You can find me on LinkedIn and at my website, which is i-coach.ie.
Fantastic. So if you're looking to get leadership coaching and help you to prevent burnout, but still maintain high performance, I do recommend you reach out to Sharon at i-coach.ie or via LinkedIn at Sharon Redmond or on Instagram.
At iCoachOfficial, or if you're in BNI, if you're in the BNI now.
Which chapter are you in?
In Excel in Dublin. We're a fresh, hot off the presses chapter. So if anybody is interested in visiting the chapter and finding out more about BNI, they're welcome to join us.
Are you an online or a local chapter, or you do
we
hybrid?
Are once a month in person and 3 times a month online. So we're hybrid.
All right. So if anyone is looking to visit Excel at Dublin, get in touch with Sharon as well, and she'll be happy to give you all the information you need to participate on their small business owners meeting at Business Network International.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Sharon, and for sharing your journey. I really appreciate your authenticity, your transparency. I think the industry definitely needs more of this. People need to know what coaching is and what it isn't. New coaches need guidance on how to choose the right certification program for themselves and how to make it in business by building sustainably in a way that actually gets them results, so they don't have to go back to work and give up in a year or two, because that's a horrible experience that I really don't wish for anyone. So thanks again, Sharon, and
thank you, Mike.
We'll continue. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.